What up, boys? It's your
And how's that go?
Hello, ladies and
Desiree.
gentlemen.
Smash that bell icon, guys.
Make sure to
Don't forget to like and subscribe, comment.
Make sure to hit that notification
Right.
bell and make sure to subscribe. You can also
And-
follow me on
07 in chat.
Patreon.
Yeah. Patreon, and I also have a GoFundMe.
Go fund yourself.
Go fund
Try-
yourself.
That sounds like a very Canadian way to tell someone to screw off.
So, yeah. So this is the first CML Podcast live stream. I'm planning to do this either weekly or bi-weekly, and the idea is to do like a 30-minute chat sesh followed by us just gaming, whatever it may be. And we got some topics for tonight. I posted those in Discord, but I can post them here for you guys too.
Are you streaming right now?
That I am. So, first topic would be PvP games, benefits and downsides. So, CML has largely been focused on PvP games the entirety of our existence. We've done a few PvE games in our time, but I think what really draws the most attention in our community is those PvP games. So we'd like to talk about that and some of the benefits and downsides of those. Second, ban excuses that we've seen on applications. Might have to bring Lady Killer or Grumsy in for this one. They'll probably remember some of the more colorful ones, but we've seen some really hilarious ones, so maybe we can chat about that for a while. Next, what makes a good CML game for our community? So over the past 6 years, we've seen some good ones, we've seen some not so good ones. Darkfall, for some of you guys that remember. So yeah, I'd just like to talk about what makes a game fit for our community. And lastly, effects of gaming on a relationship. So whether that's in a girlfriend, boyfriend, or whether it's a marriage, just how does that affect your relationship and how does it affect your social life, even if you're not with somebody. In the channel we got Hasbrock, we got Atomic, Fairs, Coupon, and Yellow Blades. And we'll probably have some more people hopping in and hopping out as we go. So let's go ahead and get started with PvP games. So what's one of the more prominent PvP games that we've played in CML?
I mean, other than all of them, I'd probably say the old reliable Planet Mans.
Yeah, Planet Man's definitely a good one. It doesn't have the full loot aspect that some of the other games have had. So you don't really have like the rush of getting shit, taking somebody else's shit like you have in Rust or like you had in Darkfall, or I don't think Arcade had it.
It's a very easy game to acquire and to understand, and I think that's where a lot of people fell in love with it. Like when I was starting out with CML and they wanted us to play multiple games within the community, it was a very easy one to adjust to and learn, especially if you've played other first-person shooters.
Helps that it's
User
free.
joined your channel.
Yeah, that too. I think the biggest benefit to PvP is that it goes into a larger thing in game development where you either have to produce content as a developer or your players are the content. And players as a content is essentially PvP, which means that there is always more content to be had because me and Desire could be sparring and Shiv, and depending on how I swing, I mean, I'm terrible at Shiv, so it's a terrible example because Desire wins in like 2 hits every time. But, it might be slightly different 2 hits each time.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting point for some of the leaders that remember leading squads and especially platoons in
User
PlanetSide.
disconnected from
Remember
your
how it was
channel.
kind of like the meta at the time, it may still be, got kind of repetitive, so the leader had to actually entertain and make the gameplay for the evening, come up with random, interesting, fun things to do. You still had the PvP, but
the Indar work gate.
right, yeah, just doing
Everybody
random shit.
bursters.
Or the Annihilator squads sitting up on top of Endar, you know?
Yeah, but I think that's probably the biggest benefit is that it allows developers. They still produce more content. PlanetSide. They've had. They added Hassan. They've added the base building. They've added a bunch of things, but that they have the time to produce those things because the main focus of the content that people is playing is, okay, it's not like, oh yeah, I'm fighting this dungeon and every dungeon is, every time I run through it, it's basically the same. This time I'm fighting this group of 48 people that have their reactions, and then,
Yeah, it
the next time
definitely
it's a
it allows
different
you
group.
to get different experiences, which is one thing that I've always kind of struggled with for Arma. Sorry for the Arma guys in here, but the PvE, the AI is just bad. You know.
It's gotten better with
For
Recon,
sure.
but that's like an adjunct. But
Right,
just
which-
as far as like the point Coupon's making and the point you're making, stagnation. And that kind of rolls over into what makes a good CML game that doesn't stagnate. And that's hard to find whether it's PvE or PvP. It depends on the game, the player base, as well as the developers. There's a lot of aspects in that. So like running those risks of games that just stagnate, they might be great for PvP, or like they might have a core focus. And I think PlanetSide, especially PlanetSide 2, did a really good job because they fell onto the first one and kind of learned from it and adapted to what they need, and they fell into a really good niche now of like, this is the core thing we want to focus on.
Yeah, for sure. Was there anyone in here that played Arcage?
Yep.
So I think Arcage had a good balance of that PvE and PvP.
It was quite a bit more PvP once you got past really like the first tier of stuff. It was basically PvP plus a Facebook sim type game where you just tend your crops so that you can afford to go PvP.
Right.
Well, once you got to the point where you had some land, you had progressed past the dungeons, you never really had to do anything other than PvP actions.
For
But
sure.
A lot of the things that would be PvE in a more traditional game were PvP. You do your trade packs. Well, to get the good money, you gotta go across the ocean and defend yourself on your ship.
Yeah.
So better take a squad with you.
It was good. It was a shame they made it pay to win. But I'm curious about, especially when I hear from Bands and Yellow Blades, what do you guys think about PvE in Rust and whether that should be expanded or if it even has a place in the game?
And the PvE in Rust has for large part just been the animals, like the wolves and bears, but recently they added scientists, which I think was a plus in the right direction. These scientists defend like
And the
boxes
Bradley.
now. Yeah, the Bradley is they use the new PvE are like more advanced and they're made to defend high loot areas, which I think is a plus, but it still encourages PvP in non-high loot areas.
Yeah, like if you do the PvE, it can get you more loot to help you do the PvP.
I think, as far as, maybe this was different, like, in the very early stages of Rust, where they were looking at PvE and PvP, but I think they've fallen into just essentially being PvP. There obviously are PvE run servers and communities, but I think if you're looking for something like that, like PvE, but the same style of Rust, like 7 Days to Die or other games that have some sort of actual adversarial AI.
I think Rust has found a good balance between PvE and PvP. For as many things this game tries to tackle, it's really good at simplifying it down and adapting to multiple different PC types. So even if you're on like your potato laptop, it's good at adjusting for that. It's it's a really well-rounded game.
The PvE also encourages PvP. Like when you blow up Bradley, it leaves a spot in the map that you can identify and head over to encounter or stuff like that. And Heli also does the same. The PvP,
For sure.
PvE is made to encourage the PvP more so than to be the obstacle itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a game that we played, Darkfall. Was there anyone in this channel that played? Coupon, I think you played with us, right?
I played just a little bit, but like a week and a half after we started playing
We
was
stopped.
when I had to move to my phone internet for 2 years or so, and it just wasn't playable.
Yeah. Shadow, he just put in chat that Escape from Tarkov had an interesting note with the possibility of the expected AI to have the possibility of being controlled by a player. So, yeah, I think that's really interesting. Which is nice because, especially if it were in something like Arma, which I know that we've done that in a few Arma missions where Op4, is a smaller force and there's maybe like 1, 2, or 3 spots where a player can actually control. So it makes you not, deal with every AI like you would with gimmicks and, peeking around a corner and just shooting it and it has no idea that you're there. It makes you deal with it like a real player. I think that's definitely good. But yeah, I was saying for Darkfall, it was a full loot PvP MMO, had hundreds of players on the server, and what drew the biggest PvP fights were sieges, of player-controlled cities, and then big boss fights. So people would bring their entire group to the boss fight, and not just to take out the AI boss, but really to fight the players that were going to come and try to get the scraps from any kind of PvP that would show up. So it would be like in Rust, you bringing more than you need to take down the heli because you know that people are going to show up as soon as it goes down. So anything else about PvP games? Have we talked about downsides, actually? What are some downsides of purely PvP games?
I mean, go ahead.
The toxicity in PvP games
Oh,
becomes
God.
severe. Like the constant idea that you have to fight over and over and over gets to people, and they start taking it personally. So when they die, they start getting a vendetta. That's one of the major downsides.
Salt is a big issue with it. Definitely.
Yeah, and if you you lose your base or something like that, people stop playing. Things like that. Might just stop playing the game altogether.
That, and for a purely PvP experience, there's no okay, yeah, I'm gonna come in on this game 3 months late because you're gonna be 3 months worth of grinding, and in games the rich get richer because if you have the best gear on the server, you can do the most things. And so there's no, you couldn't go into, whatever server it was on Darkfall and be a month behind in the gear curve and really do much at all.
Also, you can take a large break on certain games and still come back and be one of the best at them. But when there's PvP games, they're constantly getting better. You have to come in and grind to get somewhere as to where you were pre-hand. It's always a grind to be one of the best whenever
Right.
it's a PvP game.
Which I think is why, Rust ends up doing 1 week, 2 week. I've seen it the most maybe a month wipes, because there's just no way that you're going to come in a week or two into a wipe and be able to compete with the groups that are on there initially.
Which is one of the reasons that I'm kind of interested in Crowfall, if it ever materializes. Because it's supposed to be kind of capturing the first 6 months of an MMO's lifespan and just condensing the entire time into that.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, they're going to have, not really seasons, right? But
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be server by server. As far unless obviously during the course of development, I haven't been keeping up with it that much, but it's supposed to be the server admin sets the wipe essentially, and you can configure it so that you want it to be a fast gear curve and then a plateau, or
So Hafi mentioned something in the Discord about EVE Online corporations. Speaking of PvP, I don't know too much about that, but I do know that there's a significant amount of capital and real-world cash that's involved in that kind of stuff. So I mean, you're talking about salt and you're talking about toxicity. I'm sure that you guys have seen the articles about huge battles where hundreds of thousands of equivalent
US
dollars, were just sent down the drain.
The cool thing about EVE is that the market, like, for items is solely based on players. Like, it's a real... I mean, it's essentially just a spreadsheet simulator. Like, there's obviously fighting and stuff, but... yeah, as far as that, it's because the monthly, like, subscription thing, it's called a Plex. I've played EVE a while ago, but
Plex.
never could really get into it. But anyways, it's basically that gives you 30 days. But you can buy it for real in-game currency, or not real in-game currency, just in-game currency. And for whatever X dollar value it is, they can say, okay, well, since a monthly subscription costs, I don't know, $14.99 US, that is the currency of this. So they can actually equate, like, what the current market value of a monthly subscription is into in-game currency to real money. So they can say, this many hours to take, or like to build this ship, but it costs this much money. Like, okay, well, this roughly cost this many real dollars.
Yeah, that's
and
pretty wild.
You could tell that was a very good idea, because everybody has copied that from Apex and Arcade. WoW does it.
Yeah.
Like, pretty much any game that has a monthly subscription at this point, they've either looked into it or they have implemented it.
Well, it's better for them to control the essentially gold buying and gold selling rather than to have it go out on the black market.
Yeah. Might as well get their cut of it.
But yeah, so let's move on to the next topic. Ban excuses. Do you guys remember any that we've seen? Even some in Discord. You guys remember some of the funnier ones?
This one's ancient. So this was Valentine's Day 2013, my first day in CML. We're playing PlanetSide on Indar, and they're like, you just picked up a random group of puppies, and some of the new people in CML plus those guys in your squad, and this one guy, he was hacking. And I mean, you catch on to that pretty quickly, and I mean, he's got about 15 different excuses that he goes through in about 30 seconds. Oh, I'm lagging. I mean, like there's some sort there's weather outside. I mean, like, oh, my brother bumped my my computer. I mean, it was my.
It's always the brother, isn't it? We've heard that one so many times.
I was in the bathroom and my brother cheated. That was one of the greatest apps that ever came.
Into the wall. My brother knocked my other brother into the wall, and scared my dog, who linked the power cord to my router, and it made me lag step.
Yep.
And probably 30 minutes into my first day in CML playing PlanetSide, like you had given him the boot of justice.
Let's see. Shadow saying, tell the Breaking Point Order 66 story. So I don't remember the specifics, and I don't remember why we ended up booting this dude out. But an Order 66 in CML is when we have to take the executive decision and remove somebody, from the community, from the game, while they are currently playing the game. So it may be for any number of reasons. Rust has probably seen it the most with recruits. you find out that a recruit is spilling information and sending shit they shouldn't be. So immediately you have to deal with it, and you have to give them an Order 66. So yeah, I might have to talk with Shadow and see if I can remember, but essentially what happens is we'll send 1 or 2 players to go assassinate the in-game character and take all their shit, and then simultaneously we have people on the back ends that are removing their access to the website, to the TeamSpeak, to the Discord, to the CML Steam group, to the Google Drive if need be. All this kind of coordinated action just to prevent somebody from being salty and from taking any kind of action that would hurt us afterward. Yeah, and some of the members that have been here longer have definitely seen a few Order 66s.
I remember, encountering one for the first time. It was weird. I was like, this dude we were just playing with is now gone, everything's gone, there's no trace of him. I'm like, what happened? And then someone walks into our channel and he's like, he's been planning this for 3 weeks to get our codes and try to raid us from the inside. And I'm like, wow.
So,
that was longer than what I was recruited that time.
Lord Wolf just asked if we ever got socks out. And we did. Any of you guys have any of the CML socks?
I do. I got mine booted you off a building in Fistful of Frags.
Hell yeah. I'm looking through the CML swag channel. I know we got some pictures in here.
We need some for those of us who are blessed with big calves.
Big calves.
Like I know we designed them around your small feminine calves.
Built for speed, my man. Built for speed.
Boat drag.
Speed.
That's fair. I am much more of a what people think tanks are rather than what tanks actually are.
Right.
Because a tank these days they drive probably 65 miles an hour down a highway, just shredding it behind them.
But yeah, we're always open to any kind of new swag that you guys have an idea of. I think Hasbrock, were you the one that sent the link to that like personalized site?
No.
Okay,
No,
I think maybe that was
involved in
Daedalus.
the conversation, I think of the double-walled thermos.
Yeah.
At one point.
But yeah, if we get enough interest in one item, then we can order it in bulk, and then we can sell it for pretty cheap, and then we can give it away at our community event nights and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, the socks are one of those.
And if there's something that y'all just really want, but it's something weird that we're not gonna, that we can't just like stock.
Pull toys.
There is if you look at the pins and CML swag, there's you can get the logo and stuff so that you'd be able to self-order.
Nice.
So let's talk about what makes a game a good CML game. So from y'all's experience, what have you seen be successful in CML?
Multiplayer. I think that's a pretty basic one that we can put in there. Multiplayer.
I think that's pretty standardary.
The Skyrim cohort was going strong there for a little while.
Let's not forget the Pac-Man Contubernium. Yeah, but like I think team-oriented games tend to prosper well. I mean, games like Rust and DayZ were really good because it utilized the power of friendship essentially, but games that have somewhat of a team making, I don't know.
To build on Atomic, games where we can use our comms, because CML comms are the best comms out of any group, without doubt, and that is what sets us the bar three marks higher than anybody else. Is games where we can drive the comms, like hectic games.
Humble
like Rust.
brag.
Yeah.
There was nothing humble about that brag.
Yeah.
But one thing that I've noticed that makes games not good CML games is when uh, it doesn't have a large enough group size. Like, I love Warframe. I think it's a tremendous game. I think everybody should try it. It's free. It's great. All of that. But I mean, we've given it what, two, maybe three shots now as far as making it a CML game, and it just doesn't really work because the maximum group size is 4.
Yeah.
It
It's
just
tough.
doesn't really work out.
Yeah.
EFT was kind of the same way. You can't really have that big of a group in that game, so you can't really leverage the fact that we're a big community in it.
Yeah, definitely allowing more people. And it's sad to like see, especially over the years, for people that are older, like seeing all the old co-op games, or games that were have co-op, like campaign co-op, not just like, oh, we can play this mission co-op and it's a singular mission. Developers getting away from that, or sticking to like one genre of like, oh, if this person's doing it, it's working for them, let's do it. Let's do the exact same thing as them.
Right. So Shadow made a good point. He said coordination, common goals, and shared knowledge of tactics and training. Throw that at a multiplayer game and you've got a force multiplier that can't be denied. Anything that gives a chance for that is a good CML game. I completely agree. Absolutely. I think our communication and coordination definitely set us apart. A lot of times we won't have the top tier players. We won't have the best players because coincidentally, a lot of times those guys are the biggest shitheads and the most toxic players.
Either that or Crimson's in law school and can't play.
Right.
Yeah.
Real life takes priority. But yeah, I mean, we can work together to overcome that and accomplish a lot.
And I'd like to throw out that CML games are hiding right beneath your nose sometimes. The Minecraft cohort.
Oh God.
No,
that was we never had a cohort, but we definitely had a group.
I mean, it was cohort size. So we had what, 60 people on playing Minecraft.
Yeah, it was a lot.
It was basically on your whim too. It was like, you know what sounds fun today? Minecraft.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. CML.
All right.
Has
Everybody's like, do you play Minecraft? Minecraft is our favorite game now.
My favorite memory playing with CML is we were all using really good comms. We were sneaking up on this guy. We didn't shoot him right away, which is kind of something we usually don't do. But there were 3 of us, and we were right behind this dude in Rust. He was geared to the teeth, and he wasn't moving when we snuck up to him. So we were gonna like goof around with him, and I remember like he turned around as soon as he heard all of us, and he looks and he sees three fully kitted dudes aiming guns at him, and he just utters a single sentence. He goes, "Oh God," and then we all gun him down. It was one of my favorite moments.
It was a good time. That was like right after Planetside, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
Oh man, we've got the salty lads in YouTube chat.
Oh yeah, some of those Rust boys.
I'm not surprised.
Can't stay away.
C comes before D in the alphabet.
So let's talk about the
User left your channel.
effects that gaming can have on a relationship or on your social life, and how you have to balance that.
I think it's healthy. Some really good people, and I've got some extremely great advice from people that I play video games with. And overall, I've just seemed to be a little bit more productive and happy. It's a good hobby to take up, definitely, because there's millions and millions of people who share that hobby with you. But some of the downsides of it can just be like lack of time for other people or events, because you have certain things planned like weeks in advance. But if you can find a healthy medium, depending on your social status IRL, you
Yeah,
can, yeah.
that's the big thing. Finding that balance between real life and gaming, and not just gaming in general, but like everything, right? You got to find that balance of, as long as you're not throwing yourself entirely into one thing in your hobby and ignoring every other aspect of your life.
Sometimes real life does come before lifting, as much as I hate to say it.
It's true. It's true.
Don't let him hear that.
Yeah. On a real note, gaming addiction is added to the psychological disorders list,
Yeah.
so it can get hardcore enough. Like,
Yeah, I believe that.
They actually have WoW rehabs, believe it or not.
In Rust, some of you may know who I'm talking about, but we would log on, there'd be a baby crying in the background every day, and I was really upset when I learned that the first word of that child was jump chat.
Jeez.
Like,
Wow.
Yeah, that's a no bueno.
Rust is a game that will take every bit of time that you give to it. Like, there's never enough, you know?
Yeah, you could play
It's tough.
168 hours a week and still not do enough.
yeah.
But on a more positive side, the gaming effects on relationships and whatnot, a shared activity is always a good one, and gaming is an activity that a lot of people can share. And just because, you guys are online speech bubbles that light up occasionally, doesn't mean that y'all aren't people that I have chilled with for 5.5 years now.
I know, it's nuts.
That's crazy,
Yeah,
man.
it's, technology in different forms of interaction.
Yeah.
Being at the age that I am, and it's like, hey, cell phones, those are a thing now, and everybody's using cell phones. Like, I remember the time I only had one landline.
And nobody has landlines anymore. There's no need for it.
No, they just don't exist.
Yeah.
Or like, I remember someone asking what a payphone was. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
That's pretty wild. Lord Wolf says he personally would not want to play games with his girlfriend just because he knows that he would get frustrated at her.
Yeah.
Any of you guys play with your significant others?
Yeah. I used to. Yeah. Go ahead.
She plays tabletop, but she doesn't play game like actual video games.
I try to find games that she's usually better than me at, and that's usually where it's more fun. Because if we straight up jumped into CS, I think problems would arise.
I think Hasbrook, you might have touched on it, but it's all about balance. I was dating somebody who, openly said that they were open to me, spending time playing video games, but when it came down to it, they were not. They would get upset, jealous of the time that I would spend. I think it's really important to find somebody, whether it's your significant other or your friends, that are okay with sharing your time with that, and then understand that that's your hobby and that's what you enjoy doing, and it's something that you do to kick back and relax,
Oh, for sure. And just touching on that, it's as the balance thing. You also, as other people said, whether they play video games with their significant others, shared interests and just non-shared interests as well. You shouldn't have you do everything together. Have to be independent people. And that goes for friends, significant others, family, etc. It's the balance of everything.
For sure. So that's the last topic we got. How about any questions from Discord or YouTube? And while we're doing that and getting those, maybe we could talk about some upcoming games you guys are looking forward to.
Well, now I'm starting to look forward to Crowfall after this little live stream.
Yeah, you should check it out, man. It looks pretty good.
It's been one of those games that's been kind of slowly burning on a lot of CML guys' radar, because the game has been a slow burn. When I think I first heard about it several years ago, and it's just now closed alpha if you had, or pre-ordered like 2 years ago or something. I think only Shoff has access to it.
So Last Light mentioned Fallout 76. Have you guys been watching that?
I'm not
I
a huge
briefly
fan of
watched-
rush style games, so I'm not down for that.
I think it'll be really interesting. I'm really looking forward to how they implement persistence, because they said that you're going to be able to spawn in and then have all like your base available to you, but if they can't put it in the same spot that it normally is in because of somebody else's, then they're going to give you the resources immediately to be able to build a new one of the same size, you know. So I'm really interested to see how that's going to work out. And of course, the nuking aspect, where you can just decimate an entire portion of the map, which then brings up, you know, new resources for teams to compete against.
Yeah, I'm bad
it's
about
interesting,
keeping up on new games, though.
but I'm not holding my breath for that one. At least from the trailers and like the other videos and stuff, I'm not interested. Wouldn't say not interested, but it's not like top games that are coming out. I really want the new Bannerlords to come out.
I mean, that's another slow burn.
It's just not gonna come out. Like they're like, we're making a new one. Nah, you're just not coming out.
Yeah.
Or sorry,
not
say Bannerlords.
exactly.
Mountain Blade.
Mountain Blade, yeah, for sure, that'll be good.
Not exactly in the realm of video games, but sometime next month, Pathfinder is releasing the playtest for their second edition. That's a tabletop system based off of D&D 3.5.
Gotcha.
The original Pathfinder was kind of considered like a 3.75, so I guess this is 3.875 or whatever, you know. Like, we're gonna tick up and tick up and tick up until we get to 4th edition, and then it's gonna be terrible.
Right. Somebody mentioned Anthem. Have you guys heard of that? I had to Google that. Actually, I've never heard of it before.
It's one of the games that Norman's super excited about. But it's another one of those games I just don't think it'll be a good CML game, because it
pretty.
It seems like the EA version of Warframe.
Okay,
everything
gotcha.
that I've seen about it.
Interesting. Travel Plays mentioned BF5, Battlefield 5, which definitely a lot of people are watching that. I hope that it's going to be more than just BF1 reskinned. But I'm excited about some of the potential more hardcore aspects that they're going to be implementing.
Yeah, any Battlefield or Call of Duty game, it's a solid. I'll hope it'll try something new again, instead of just being the same game essentially. But not hold my breath for that.
I don't know of anything like this coming out anytime soon, but I would love for another, like, sandbox-style PvP MMO.
Yeah, I mean, trying to think, Arcade. They tried to bring Darkfall 1 back.
Yeah. Arcade, but not terrible. That's, like, what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. Alright, well, appreciate you guys coming out. And those of you that watch, thank you for tuning in to our first little podcast live stream. If you guys have any topics that you want to discuss for the next time, just put them in Discord, put them in the chat, and we can queue them up. And thank you to the guys that hopped in the channel with me: Hasbrock, Atomic, Ferris, Coupon. I know Yellow, Blades was here, and I know Bands was here. In and out. Appreciate you guys hopping on and chatting with me.
I mean, you know what, you know the topic I want to discuss.
We will. Alright, so we're going to take like a 5 or 10 minute break, and then I'm going to come back and do some video games.
Cool.
Alright.
Yeah, we should definitely make it longer next time. It'll be a lot of fun.
We'll have the D&D episode to celebrate Star Citizen.
I'm not going to know what the hell I'm doing with that. That'll be interesting.
We'll be playing the full release of Star Citizen.
User disconnected from your channel.
By that time, yeah.
Yeah, you might figure it out.
All right. Well, appreciate y'all coming out. Thank you very much, and have a good night.
Alrighty.